صباح الخير. شي اللي بدي أقولكن إياه واضح وصريح. أولاً، هلأ بلشت الزينة لميموريال داي ولفور جولاي، بلشت بكل بيت أمريكي، بكل أبارتمان على الباب البراني الزينة الأمريكية، وبكل بناية العلم الأمريكي. هالوطنية اللي بتشوفوها عند الأمريكان، هالحب للوطن، هيدي ما بتشوفوها غير محل. انتو اللبنانيين وخصوصا المسيحيين لازم تحبوا وطنكم. منكن وطنيين بأكتريتكم، أقلية فيكن وطنية، على رأسن العميد ريمون إدي وأمثاله، واليوم على رأسهم الدكتور فارس صعيد وأمثاله. بكن تحبوا وطنكم، مش بكن تخونوا وطنكم. مشان المال والغريزة انتو عم بتبيعوا وطنكم. ما بقى يطلع منكم شي، صرتوا مكشوفين لدى العالم. قصة كيلوت وصدرية لابن النافذ، وقصة لبسه للنافذ، وهيدي شغلة صارت معروفة. بيعمل له معاش وبيقول له من المعاش تفاع، بيفيده نايب وزير، كلمات ما إلها أي معنى. مشان هيك أنا بقولكم إلى الثورة السورية، هالثورة المجيدة الكريمة، هالثورة الأمينة، هالثورة على صورة ومثال ثورة السيد المسيح من أجل البشرية جمعاء. شو قال؟ يا شباب، المبادرة العربية السعودية مكبشة فيها، ما بقى لها قيمة، مرق الزمن عليه. وقت اللي الرئيس إريال شارون قال أنا مستعد أتوجه إلى بيروت واجتماع، وقت اللي كانوا بدهم يصدروا له الوثيقة ما عرفوا يقولوا له أهلا وسهلا، مرقته خلص. خلونا نحكي الاشياء بعزافيرها. ما في دولة فلسطينية وما في الوثيقة العربية، ما بقى لها أي قيمة. في القرار الإسرائيلي، الفلسطينيين بدهم يعيشوا مع الأردن، وما بعرف شو اللي عم بيفبركوه على غزة. هذا شيء بدكم تسمعوه وتفهموه. مشان هيك الثورة السورية ليش عم تعطوا هالقوة للمجرم السافل اللي ما في أخلاق لا وطني ولا شيء، ولك حتى منه مؤمن بلهجة البلاغة ومنه قوري. إذا بتطلعوا بكل اللي عملوه كأنه منه قوري بكتاب نهج البلاغة. وبيت الأسد وصدام حسين ومعمر القذافي، واضحة اللعبة. ليش عم بتوصلوا حيلكن الهان؟ المعارضة السورية انتو بدكن تطرحوا صفقة القرن. صفقة القرن انتو باتصالكم بالإسرائيليين علنا، ما في شيء من تحت الطاولة. نريد سايكس بيكو جديد إسرائيلي للمنطقة. ما بدكن تحكوا هالحكي. الوثيقة العربية ما بقى لها أي قيمة، ودولة فلسطينية ما في شقفة بتاخدوها، هن اللي بيقرروها، وبتفوت مع الأردن. اللبنانيين السوريين ما رح نظر عليهم، عم نظر على القيادة تبع الائتلاف الوطني إنه لازم توقفوا. فمن هون كنا أنا كتلميذ بروح بحضر المحاضرات تبع الأساتذة تبعنا اللي بيعلمونا العلم السياسي بإحدى أهم جامعات القرى الأرضية، يمكن نمبر 1 بالعالم. فالبروفيسور حكى ما يلي: بتمنى عليكن السياسيين وخصوصا اللي بصغرتل يلي انتو منكن باك وحاطين براسكن السياسة، بتمنى عليكن تسمعوا. هني بدن السياسي تيقتنيوا منه وعمروا قصورتهم. انا بوعدكم هاي القصورة كلها بدها ترجع للدولة اللبنانية، بس بهدوء وبرواق وبكل شيء بده يصير. واللي جاي اكبر واعظم ما هني عم بفكروا. بدي اقول له الحسن نصر الله: انت ليش بدك مصريات من المصاريف؟ انت غطيت اكبر عملية مافيوية على الميزانية العامة بلبنان. لحني المال مع طه ونجيب ميقاطي، مع سليمان فرنجية، مع نبيه برة، مع كل وزير حطوا النظام السوري بأيام الياس الهراوي وإميل لحود. عندهم بنك، بيعوا البنك، بعدين المال معروف بتجيب انه بتاخذ المال. ليش عم تتمرجل على المصاريف؟ هذا اللي قرطوا المال، مال العام وتبييض العملة. ما بدك عيب عليك طول له المصارف بدنا مصرية. فرجينا أنك أنت ليدر. الطول اطلع أنت. أبعد من هيك هذا مستواك. أنت إرهابي الطول اطلع مش أكتر من هيك. ولا تقلي أنا احكي عن اللبنانيين وتمرجل أنا. لما اختفت الأجانب ببيروت ما حدا فتح تمه عليك. كانوا عاوزينك تيستعملوك. هلا صرت إرهابي. ما بقى لك دور بشي. مشان هيك بطلب منكم اسمعوا البروفيسور تبعنا شو المحاضرة بس قبل ما أترككم. بلشت أمريكا بالزينة مثل ما قلت لكم. ليكو الزينة عم بتبلش وإسا ما خلصت. إساها ببدايتها. بعد ما تكفي بعملكم صورة وبحط لكم هي. حبوا وطنكم مثل ما الأمريكان بيحبوا وطنهم. منحب وطننا ومنمشي فيه. علمتني بنت وولش هذه العائلة الكريمة يلي موجودين بأمريكا ايرش امريكان من سنة 1860. وولش وويلش هني فرد عائلات. علمتني أن أحب وطني بمصورين معدتي. هذا كلام هذا هيك يبك أنت كبير. هذا كلام ملو قيمة كلام فارغ عم بيستفاد منك بمعيش. ما بتصدق أنا بدي أقول لك طموحا يتجوزوا بنتك. ما بدي أحكي لك لما تخليني أقر لك إيهن كلهم. لذلك اتركن شحيدين وفقره. خليني هابرو عند عيروت هالسيفلين. معلش ما رح أقول لك أكتر لأني وقت اللي بدي أقول لك أكتر ما رح تنام. مشان هيك اسمعوا البروفيسور شو حكى. وبتمنى على كل واحد خصوصا بصغرتي اللي عنده طموح سياسي سمع شو حكى لنا بالمحاضرة اللي بيعطينا هي وقت المروح على الدرس. أهم محاضر بتاريخ العلوم السياسية بتاريخ الكرة الأرضية وبأهم جامعة بالكرة الأرضية. اسمعوا.
I have been asked to speak to you about the politics of responsibility. This seems to me to be a very sobering task because it's very easy to admonish people and say that they're behaving irresponsibly. It's also very easy to criticize politicians.
اسمعوا باو.
So I have been asked to speak to you about the politics of responsibility. This seems to me to be a very sobering task because it's very easy to admonish people and say that they're behaving irresponsibly. It's also very easy to criticize politicians or others for being irresponsible. But what does it mean to be responsible? What would a politics of responsibility look like? How can the word responsibility shift from being a mode of critique to being a mode of practice? This is the challenge that I'd like to take up today. It seems to me that if we're going to speak about a politics of responsibility, we have to have a sense of the thing that comes before politics. If we want to have an idea of how we might shift from whatever this thing we have now is to a politics of responsibility, I think we have to be able to say what this thing we have now is and where it comes from. In other words, we have to be able to answer the question, what comes before politics? What is making the present political era so strange? Why is it that the wrong people are in the wrong places doing the wrong things? But also, why is it all so strange? Why is it all so uncanny? I think the answer has to do with time. I think the thing, the concept, the experience that comes before politics is time. And I think if we want to get to a politics of responsibility. And if we want to understand the present state of general irresponsibility, we have to get our minds around how time works now in politics. What I'd like to suggest, if you'll bear with me for just a moment, is that what we're experiencing is the shift from one sense of time to another sense of time. That what we have done is give up on history as a way of experiencing politics and life, and instead embraced first one and then another way of experiencing time, both of which together are killing democracy before our eyes. The first way of experiencing time, what I call the politics of inevitability, die Politik der Unausweichlichkeit, the politics of inevitability, is something which I think has been dominant from about 1989 to, let's say, about 2008. The politics of inevitability, and this should sound familiar to you, especially those of you who are younger, because this is essentially the bath that we've poured over you for 3 decades. The politics of inevitability says progress. The politics of inevitability does not ask what is good, because the politics of inevitability says the future will have the same good stuff as the present, just more of it. The politics of inevitability says there's no alternative. The politics of inevitability proposes that there's a clear path from where we are now to the future, and that there's only one path. The consequence of this, of course, is that responsibility dies. If we don't have to ask what virtue is in politics, and if we are assured that regardless of what we do, larger forces, usually economic forces, are pushing us in the single right direction to the only possible good future, then individual choices don't matter at all. Now, there's an American version of this, which later in this lecture you will smile and laugh about. There is a European version of this as well, which will make you sad when you hear it. But for the time being, what I want to suggest is that this style of thinking, this sense of time, this bubble in which we've been living has been shared in a general way across the West, and that this has a great deal to do with where we are now. Because the problem with the politics of inevitability is not just that it's completely and utterly wrong as a description of life, politics, and anything else. The problem with the politics of inevitability is that it opens the door to something else. What I would propose is that in the last 10 years or so, we've shifted from the politics of inevitability to something that I would call the politics of eternity, die Politik der Ewigkeit. Now, I'm going to try to explain what this means, but before I do, let me just reach out at something that I think we've all experienced. What happened to the future? Where did the future go? Why is it that after 250 years or so of consistently producing competing political visions of reasonable futures, the West seems no longer able to do so? Why is it that, although quantitatively speaking, we have more wealth and technology than ever before, our discussion about possible futures is so unbelievably impoverished that would astonish political thinkers from every generation from the Enlightenment until today? How did that happen? And moreover, why do we think it's normal? That is what I mean by the triumph of the politics of eternity. We've gone from a situation where we took for granted that there was one possible future and no alternatives, to a situation in which there is no future at all. What the politics of eternity says is that time is not a line into the future. Time is a circle. The same thing happens over and over again. And it is literally the same thing. It is always the guilty, violent, sexually crazed people from outside who are going to violate us, the innocent, good people on the inside. As with the politics of inevitability,
هذا اللي صار لشعبنا بسوريا. اجوا على هالابرياء في سوريا ودبحوهم. مين هن؟ المشتركين حسن نصر الله اللي نفذ، والإيرانيين وإجا بوتين. نفس الشيء عم بيدرسنا كيفية. والمشتركين وشابكين دمهم مشتركين 100%. يعني الخبز تبع طه ميقاتي والسكين اللي بيعطيها بالضقر بالكذب على الناس وعلى كرامات الناس، مسيو طه ميقاتي منه مشترك على الشعب السوري والشعب اللبناني. ميشيل عون وسليمان فرنجية وبشار الراعي، هالكلام اللي ما له أي معنى تحت ستار كلمة أقليات. لما بتحترموا الأقليات وليه؟ اسمعوني كتير منيح. هل أبناء الطائفة اليهودية من أقليات بدولة إسرائيل؟ اعلنوا انتوا مع دولة إسرائيل في بناء الدولة اليهودية، يلي نحن كعرب نحن اللي بدنا نساهم في بناء هذه الدولة اليهودية لحماية أبناء الطائفة اليهودية الكريمة. نحن اللي بدنا نطرحها، وهيدي مسؤولية القيادة السياسية السورية بالائتلاف الوطني. خليني كفيكن وسمعكن، اسمعوا إذا بتريدوا. وبرجع بكرر لأولاد صغارتا اللي بدكم تشتغلوا بالسياسة انتوا الأجيال القادمة، رح وديلكن كتير، حط لكم تسجيلات من هالشي حتى تسمعوا كل ما كان عم بيحاضر فينا بالمدرسة بالجامعة، بدنا نضل نوديلكن هن.
The politics of eternity only gives you one possible alternative. It's us versus them all the time, forever, in a loop. Whereas the politics of inevitability gives you one future, the politics of eternity gives you zero futures. Because what happens is that you're looping around and around and around and again back to the past to seek the enemies, but also to seek the imaginary moment when you yourself were perfectly innocent. Likewise, the politics of eternity does not ask you what virtue is in politics. It doesn't ask you what's good in politics. It doesn't need to ask you, because, of course, if you were the innocent victim, then you must be good. And if you're constantly attacked by those outsiders, well, they must be evil. And it's astonishing that this form of innocence dialogue can be carried out regardless of how powerful you are. You can be China and claim to be the eternal victim. You can be Russia and claim to be the eternal victim. You can be the United States and claim to be the eternal victim. You can be the President of the United States and claim to be the eternal victim literally every day. So this form, don't laugh at the first Trump joke. It makes you seem too easy. And also, it's not a joke. So what the politics, the reason why it's so easy to shift from the politics of inevitability to the politics of eternity, the reason why we have made this shift has precisely to do with responsibility. The politics of inevitability takes a sense of responsibility away. It says we don't have to do anything because it's all going to turn out well anyway. The politics of eternity says it doesn't matter what we do because it's all going to turn out badly anyway. And so when people who believe in the politics of inevitability are shocked because a referendum goes the way they don't expect, or an election goes the way they don't expect, or they realize that they're not going to live as well as their parents, or whatever it might be, various shocks in various places across the West for the last 10 years have led to this. When people are shocked, they shift from a sense of inevitability to a sense of eternity. We think all is going to be well no matter what we do, and then we think all is going to be ill, all is going to go badly regardless of what we do. That's how we shift. Now, let me give you an example, or let me give you two examples. I take it from your nodding that you know you have some sense of what I'm talking about. But the case I'd like to make is that the shift from inevitability to eternity is what is happening before our eyes in some of the most significant events in world politics. Take, for example, the United States of America. Take as much of it as you want. No, you have to take it because the things that happen in my country happen then in your country, which is why I'm talking to you.
Yes.
So take the United States of America. Consider what happened to the United States of America in the year 2016. The shift from the Obama administration to the Trump administration is a shift from the politics of inevitability to the politics of eternity. Or to put it in a sharper way, the shift from a situation where Americans thought they were electing their president to a situation where a foreign country actually chose our president is the shift from the politics of inevitability to the politics of eternity. The American politics of inevitability made us vulnerable to something that we wouldn't otherwise have expected. The American politics of inevitability, and again, this is the part where you get to feel good because I'm going to say all these things, you think about us anyway. The American politics of inevitability says there are no alternatives, history is over, capitalism causes democracy, more capitalism causes more democracy, technology will always make people enlightened, and so on and so forth. That is not a parody, right? I mean, that's like 85% of American book sales right there. So what the American politics of inevitability does is open us up. It makes us weak. Because, of course, if you don't think there are alternatives, then you don't see the alternatives even when they're staring you in the eye. If you think that capitalism brings democracy, you don't notice that capitalism brings measurably terrifying increases in wealth and income inequality, which make it very hard for Americans to believe in a future that's coming, let alone coming and going to be good. If you believe that technology is automatically enlightening, then you don't notice that internet penetration actually correlates not with democracy, but with the destruction of democracy. And that you're very slow to realize that the internet is actually making us worse at being citizens rather than better. I was giving a talk at a gymnasium in Vienna a few days ago, and in German, which I won't impose on you. But one of the things I said was, Sie wissen doch, dass vor 10 Jahren alle die Erwachsenen klüger waren als jetzt, right? And they did know that, right? And they knew that I was talking about the internet, right? Without my having to say so, which should perhaps give us all a bit of pause. So the point is that the American politics of inevitability opens us up to what Russia did to us. Now, what Russia did to us was deliberate and very carefully planned, and it came from a very special place. The way to understand why Russia is so important, I think, is to think about the politics of eternity. Why is Russia so important? Why are we constantly talking about Russia? Or to pose it the way that the Obama administration posed the question, why should we care about a regional power that doesn't have any technological innovation and doesn't export anything besides raw materials? That was the Obama administration's attitude towards Russia. Why is that a mistake? Because that's the politics of inevitability. If you think politics is only about economics, well then Russia's a regional power. But if Russia's a regional power, why does it get to choose the president of the United States? And why do we have to keep talking about Russia? The answer is not that Russia has to be autocratic. The answer is not that Russia is not a European country. The answer is rather that Russia has reached the politics of eternity faster than anyone else. Russia constitutes a model which is close to an ideal type of what the politics of eternity would look like. Russia reached the place where there is no future faster than we did, and now it is bringing us along, or trying to bring us along with it. Why is there no future in Russia? This is a very important question, because the Zukunftslosigkeit in Russia is a kind of black hole which is bringing many Germans closer and closer to it all the time. First of all, hydrocarbons. If the way that your country survives is by exporting hydrocarbons, if you are a hydrocarbon oligarch, Russian, American, Saudi, it doesn't matter. If you are a hydrocarbon oligarch, you don't talk about the future, because the future is global warming. Second, oligarchy. According to the radical left-wing organization Credit Suisse, which compiles an annual wealth report, The country with the greatest wealth and income inequality, greater even than the United States, is the Russian Federation. When you're in a situation of extreme wealth and income inequality, there is no social advancement. When there is no social advancement, it's very hard to talk about the future, as, by the way, Mr. Putin just acknowledged in Munich a couple of days ago. The third reason there's no future in Russia is succession. So Max Weber has already been invoked twice. I understand it is actually, we are now in the iron cage that we have to all cite Max Weber. So I will cite Max Weber. Max Weber made the very important point about charismatic leadership. Charismatic leadership is when you are the guy who takes off his shirt and controls all of the good things and hands them all out and has a beautiful myth about yourself. That is fun while it lasts. That is, by the way, a direct citation of Max Weber. Max Weber writes, "That is fun while it lasts." Okay. What Weber says, though, is that if you want to move from charismatic leadership to having a state, there has to be some kind of legal organizing principle which allows the charismatic leader to pass on state authority to a successor. That is what Russia currently does not have. And this is by the way, the major problem with neo-authoritarianism. It's very attractive for a moment, but even in Russia now, it's clear that Putin has a problem, and the problem is succession. In Russia, you cannot talk about a successor. You literally cannot talk about a successor. It is physically impossible to talk about a successor. And when you don't have a successor, in other words, when it just might be your...
باك كيف الباك بده يترك؟ هذا باك بده يضل قاعد كل عمره باك. بحكي لكم بعدين شو الرسالة اللي وديتها للسفراء تبع روسيا بدول السبعة الصناعية، رئاسة الجمهورية ورئاسة الوزراء بلبنان. اوعى تخلوهن ياخدوها ببلاش. صار ايميل لبنان هال وتجيبوهن لألون. شو بده ميشيل عون من المنصورية؟ بده يركع المسيحيين لما نجتاح المنطقة المسيحية تيرضي حافظ الأسد. هلا بده يكمشن هو بديكتاتورية عسكرية هو بإيده، وعم بيستعمل الدولة اللبنانية بدل ما يجتاحهم بترهيبهم وتركيعهم. مشان هيك بقول لأهالي كسروان، سكروا بيوتكم ومشوا نسوان وولاد وطفال ورجال وتوجهوا إلى المنصورية، ساعدوا جيرانكم بالمتن الشمالي. فرجوا ميشيل عون على أنه هو عميل ضد وطنه اسمه لبنان من أجل غريزته. بيت الخوزن وينكن ولو جبنتها؟ صرتوا أزلام عند المرتزقة عند بيت الأسد؟ يا بالشوم عليكم كركة إنه شو بتفاوضي بالصعب وما بعرف بستانة لك هالبضاعة اللي ملاكن عين تبزقوا عليهم بتاريخ الإنسان. كركي غبتي كتير. بشارة الراعي جابوك بمال ساني أباشا حتى تركع المسيحيين وتركع الموارنة لأنظمة الرعب والإرهاب بإيران وسوريا حزب الله. راح أتركن إسا تسمعوا 3 دقايق وبرجع بعملكن فيديو تاني تتكمل المحاضرة تسمعوها.
Own fault that your state is going to cease to exist, that's another very strong reason not to talk about the future. Now, what Russia has done with the Zukunftslosigkeit, with the absence of a future, is to create a new form of domestic and foreign politics. In domestic politics, the idea is, yes, all of what I've just said is true. We're corrupt, it's unequal, there's no future, but it's exactly the same everywhere else. So this is the fundamental difference between the Russian Federation and the Soviet Union. Rather than proposing a vision that the world should live up to, the Russian Federation proposes instead that there are no rules, no laws, no truth, certainly no responsibility anywhere. So yes, things are bad in Russia, but things are terrible everywhere. This is interesting. Yes, we lie all the time. We Russian leaders lie all the time. We lie nonstop. Vladislav Surkov actually just published a very interesting article which says this essentially word for word. We lie all the time, but that's okay because everyone lies all the time. And you should love our lies because they are our lies. This is a new form of nationalism in the world. The way that it works in foreign policy is to actually try to reconstruct the rest of the world so that this is all true. To, for example, help the British vote for leaving the European Union, or to help the Americans vote for Donald Trump, or to help AfD in Germany, or to help the Front National in France, because all of these things actually do make the West look ridiculous. And it does make it harder for us to say there are facts and laws and institutions and they ought to be taken seriously. So the technique of how Russia gets into the American political system is very interesting, and I write about it at length in the book. But the basic thing to understand is that it is a Russian politics of eternity, a Russian futurelessness, the kind of gravitational power of that black hole that breaks our politics of inevitability, that leads us to a situation where Donald Trump can be president. Mr. Trump is precisely a product of an American version of capitalism which says no rules are good rules. He is precisely the sort of person who is in a position to benefit from propaganda on his side, which is nothing but lies.
إذا بتريدوا وقفت بعمل فيديو تاني بعد يومين ثلاثة، بس بطلب من سليمان بيك فرنجية. هذا هالمجرور اللي اسمه أنطوان مرعي، انت اسمع عن هال20 دقيقة من البروفيسور تبعنا، انت سير نظر عليه بما يسمى روسيا، بدل هالمجرور صار بيركب طيارة ببلاش معك وبيعضب اوتيل دولوكس على حسابك وبياكل على حسابك بالمطعم. هيدي هالمجرير بدك تفهمها. اوعى تقول لي اني انا سليمان فرنجي انا الرب الهك، في فرد رب مش انت انسان من لحم ومن دم. انت هال20 دقيقة هلا اللي حطيتهم، انت بتحمل حالك بتخلي بنتك لأنها بتعرف انجليزي بنتك هي تترجم لك وتقول لك شو اللي قالوا البروفيسور تبعنا. هيدي هالعقول بأمريكا، هيدي هي المستقبل لبناء مستقبل دولة أمريكا ومستقبل دول العالم. خلصنا بقى مجرير وأزلام ومحاسيب، هال بتعطيهن معيشات على حساب الدولة اللبنانية ويقعدوا عند عيروت يسقفوا لك. أما تيسر لك سقفة بدول السبعة الصناعية غير شيء. بأمركم قلت لكم اللبنانيين رئيسنا لينكولن قال شجرة الحرية تحتاج من وقت إلى وقت إنها تنصقي بالدم. بدكن اللبنانيين stand up, show up, speak up ضد هذا النظام الإرهابي المجرم يلي بقيادة حزب الله بلبنان، وكامش هالمجارير اللبنانية تبع الموارنة، وعم بيحط حقده كله ميشيل عون هو وبناته وقصهرته، تفه عليه وعبناته وعمرته وعقصرته. هيك بنات طنجرة بدن هيك غطا. اسمعوا لميشيل عون، هالديمقراطية جاية بدك ترهب الموارنة والمسيحيين، الموارنة بالأخص بالمنطقة الشرقية من جديد. ما رح نسكت لك أبدا، بدنا نفضحك وين ما كان. شكرا وألف شكر وأهلا وسهلا فيكم، وبتمنى عليكم كلكم تسمعوه، وخصوصا اللي بدهم يشتغلوا بالسياسة هالجيل الجديد. أنا بشكركم وأنا فخور فيكم إن كنت رشحتوا ولو خطوا صوتكم واحد. هذا هالصوت اللي خطوه صوتك أنت، هذا فخر وكرامة واعتزاز للديمقراطية والحرية. الرئيس كامل الأسعد عمل أكبر معركة بتاريخ الديمقراطية وربحها بالصوت الواحد. شو كتب ميشيل أبو جودي المقال؟ من يحكم إهد مصغرا قادر أن يحكم لبنان مكبرا. وانتو هالشباب صوتكن وحده هذا الصوت فيكن تحكموا لبنان بعدين. أهلا فيكم. هني بالنسبة لألن السياسة بيقتنيوا منه، انتو السياسة لخدمة الناس ووطنكن لبنان وشعبكن اللبناني. إلى القيادة بقيادة الائتلاف ممثلة للشعب السوري البطل، بقول لكم وبرجع بكرر، المبادرة العربية انتهت ودولة فلسطينية ما في. شو بنعمل؟ منكفي على الحروب؟ وين الوصول؟ من عبد الناصر لليوم شفنا شو مصيرنا وين وصلنا، وليكوا وين وصلنا. ما بدكن تتغيروا، انتو حرين. إذن لا تبكوا بعدين. شجرة الحرية بدها قيادات توقف حتى بدنا تضل في حرية. بخاطركن وأهلا وسهلا فيكم.